Greetings, and welcome to the final research paper rubric in English composition and the Research and Writing Intensive courses tutorial. First, let's ask what the final research paper rubric is. It's a narrative evaluation tool that was originally developed for SEI, Seminar and Educational Inquiry. The old rubric was scored on a 40-point scale with 10 categories. This presented challenges to many of the faculty who used it, and in fact many simply did not use it. A few years ago, the Arts, Communication, and Humanities Committee reworked the rubric. It's now scored on a 50-point scale, and the narrative point scores have been expanded. The net result is that we've got a more versatile rubric to work with. But why? Why use one rubric for 3 different levels of writing? In response to inadequate preparation measured in writing students entering CCV's capstone course, SEI, a new research writing rubric was developed. That rubric was then applied to the evaluation of research writing in the Research and Writing Intensive courses, and now it will be used in English composition. The goal here is to strengthen research writing skills throughout the entire writing sequence by harmonizing expectations. From a faculty point of view, the rubric gives us the opportunity to not only fairly assess these skills, but use of the rubric throughout our students' writing career acclimates them with a common set of expectations. Writing faculty also come to understand CCV's expectations for student performance. More importantly, from a student point of view, they begin to understand the requirements for research writing early in their CCV writing careers. By seeing the same rubric over several courses, students begin to internalize the research writing process, allowing them to focus more deeply on content. With that in mind, let's take a look at the rubric itself. It's got 10 areas of evaluation, and each area is scored on a scale of 1 to 5 points. Each point of evaluation has a narrative explanation to help guide faculty. The total value of the paper is 50 points, and a score of 35 or 70% is required for a paper to be considered passing. Here's a detailed look at the first point of evaluation in the rubric, the thesis. This point asks, do you see evidence of a thesis? If there's a strong, arguable thesis that's clear, engaging, and appropriate for the subject, and the writer addresses all aspects of the thesis fully, then 5 points are awarded. 4 points are awarded if there's an arguable thesis and the writer might not address all fully developed points of the thesis. If there's a clear thesis but it's fairly general and it could be made stronger or more engaging, 3 points are awarded. If there's a weak or vague thesis and it was difficult to discover, then only 2 points are awarded. An inconsistent thesis that doesn't address many ideas in the paper is awarded 1 point. And if there is no thesis, 0 points are awarded. Other areas addressed by the rubric fill out the rest of the narrative point evaluations for the rubric. It's important to note here that faculty can award half points as well. For example, a paper that might handle its ideas in a way that illustrates critical and creative thinking can be awarded 3.5 points instead of either 4 or 3. The same goes for the rest of the points addressed by the rubric. The benefits of using this rubric are many. Students learn and become familiar with the expectations of the rubric early, allowing them to focus on what's important, strengthening their writing. With a universal rubric, we can point to specific learning outcomes achieved by our students. These outcomes satisfy the general education requirements as well as the program outcomes for students. With disparate faculty, the need for universal documentation is critical. The final paper evaluation rubric relieves faculty from ambiguity regarding expectations throughout the sequence, and it produces students with consistent skills no matter which faculty teaches which class. Students can take English composition on the ground in one academic center, take a research and writing intensive class online, and finish with a hybrid SEI class, secure in the knowledge that each class will evaluate research writing, a key ingredient in English composition and a requirement in the others, consistently, providing for fluid transitions. The goals of the rubric are universal goals of good writing, and implementing them early and consistently will create better writers and better thinkers. So, how should I use the rubric in my English composition class? Introduce the rubric the first night of class and explain its importance in the writing sequence. Usually, in English composition, faculty assign an argument paper, which is the ideal location to implement the rubric. Remember that the research component in English composition is not a high-stakes item. How about for research and writing intensive classes? The research paper here is a high-stakes paper, meaning that students must earn 70% or higher on the paper in order to receive credit for the class. Design activities around different aspects of the rubric, especially emphasizing the thesis. Many students hesitate to argue a position, rendering their paper informational. Focusing on the thesis throughout the process will result in stronger final papers. Use the rubric to give point-by-point detailed feedback on the rough draft so the student has enough time to revise effectively. Faculty can find a copy of the final research paper rubric at the CCV Writing Center under Faculty Resources in the portal. Thanks for watching and learning a little bit more about the final research paper rubric.